Okay. All right, we should be coming up. Come on, stream. There you go. My stream look like it's cutting on now. Yep, we should be good. Y'all should be able to see me now. Now, those of you that are seeing this after I went live, it's about 1:00 in the morning. And I was in the middle of my research, and I've been doing some research on this particular topic I'm about to cover for about 2 days now. Because I ran into something that I feel as though is necessary for our people to know and for our people to see, because this is not being talked about in our media or anything like that, and all the way down to the doctors and stuff like that. So I'm gonna tell you what happened, what led me to this. I am going to be doing I'm already engaged in a full-fledged investigation on this particular topic. But I am going to do follow-up videos, not necessarily live streams, but videos about other things that I have dealing with this topic. You're going to see exactly what I'm talking about, because it is beneficial for those that are in need of this. You may have family members that are in need of this, and this is so crazy that this is not out there. Now, I'm going to have to not trigger, the algorithm with certain words that I'm going to be utilizing during this live stream to explain everything. But I do have it set up where I'll be able to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go into some videos, certain things I do not want to put on the screen right now, but I'm going to be talking about those things. Because I don't know what their agenda is now in this day and age, because it has been a couple of years since the last time something like this has made the news, but it was quiet. It was real quiet when it hit the news. It's been some years now, but about 4 years now. Well, I'm going to talk about everything. I'm going to let you know what's going on. I'm going to walk it down. This is probably not going to be a long live stream, but I'm not going to do too much interrupting. Like when I'm playing videos and stuff like that, I want the information to be known. And again, I'm in the process of doing a full-fledged investigation and researching this topic here. But I do have a solution. I'm going to be sharing that as well. I did run across that. That's actually what this thing is about. So let's start right away. I'm going to be looking at chat. But I'm going to tell you right now, again, I'm not a doctor. Okay, I'm not a physician. I'm not any of that. So you can't consider any of this or what you're about to see or what you're about to witness as medical advice. If you want to do that, you can do that with your clinic or your hospital or whoever your healthcare provider is. Anything that I share, anything that I state, any material that you see in this video or in this channel, for that matter, is not, for that. Okay, it's not to replace your clinical judgment from your healthcare provider. All right. So all of this is just strictly for information purposes only, educational purposes only, including my comments. This is all educational purpose based. Okay. So it's never going to replace the advice of your own healthcare provider. I need that to be known. And I'll probably will mention something like that again here later on in this live stream. But I want to say this up front because I know how deep this is. And I want people to take this very serious because this is something that has been going on for a while and a lot of our people don't know. Let me begin. So in the process of me doing research on what Trump has been pushing his attention toward, as far as, I'm not talking about the war situation. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the missing scientists. Some of them have died and some of them are missing. I was in the middle of researching that, trying to find out more information. were areas of study. They were attempting to, become masters of or find more information on or anything. I didn't know what their, core duties were, but I just knew that they were extremely important in order for them to all of a sudden not be here. They got taken out for a reason. Now, some of you may have seen reports, and I'm going to be going over this stuff. Some of you may have seen reports. OCO, by the way, y'all, if I didn't say that, OCO. Okay, and I apologize. This is, yeah. Who is who? Calloway? Who is that? I don't know. What do you mean? Blue, what you talking about? Who we referring to? Wait. I'm looking at chat. I'm looking at chat now. So I missed something. I don't know what was going on. Everything good? We good? Not you? Okay. All right. Okay. So let me, so again, see, that's another reason why I'm going to focus on chat, but let me get a lot of this stuff out because I don't want any interruption. Really. I really don't want any interruption. I really want this to be stated, mentioned, and talked about, without my focus being interrupted on some important takes. The majority of the people that they discovered were missing or dead were scientists in the field of defense or aerospace or nuclear or other sensitive work. And that's the part that they don't mention. They always mention the nuclear part and the aerospace part, Department of Defense part, but they don't mention the sensitive work. The sensitive work consists of two separate things. Some of you all have heard that Trump did come out and state that a lot of people were talking about the UFOs, the discovery of UFOs and the study of UFOs or UAEs. You may have heard that too. But there's another side to that as well. And it's actually beneficial for the American people. And I feel like this one is the one that they all got taken out for. And I'm going to be sharing that. Let me keep you up to date on that really quickly. You know how I do this. Again, this live stream is not going to be too long, but let me let you see what's going on. So the news is stating a few things, and I'm gonna keep you up to speed, and and then we're gonna go into the details of what I discovered. Here we go.
Thank you. I have one for you and then one for...
So this one here that I'm playing was 4 days ago. We're just gonna jump up.
Sure. For you, Caroline, there are now 10 American scientists who have either gone missing or died since mid-2024. They all reportedly had access to classified nuclear or aerospace material. Is anybody investigating this to see if these things are connected?
I've seen the report, Peter. I haven't spoken to our relevant agencies about it. I will certainly do that and we'll get you an answer. If true, of course, that's definitely something I think this government and administration would deem worth looking into. So let me do that for you.
Thank you. And Secretary Besson, it doesn't sound like we're going to have $3 a gallon gas by summertime, which we had initially been told by the Energy Secretary. He now says that it would be very aggressive if we're going to get to the $3 a gallon gas by the summer. So when are we really going to get $3 a gallon gas?
Well, I think that's going to be up to how the negotiations go. President Trump said this morning that he thinks we're nearing the end. The U.S. kept their side on the ceasefire. We've stopped firing. The Straits of Hormuz.
Now, we know that's BS because, again, this is 4 days ago. And
I'm optimistic that during the summer, we will see gas with a 3 in front of it sooner rather than later. It's Bank Week here in D.C.
Okay.
I've been meeting with...
guys, this is not a part of the topic. I just wanted the other part to be played. We'll get into the gas prices at another time. Let me keep it pushing, okay? Because I want to stay on the topic of what I'm referring to.
Right now,
now this was 2 days ago.
The mysterious string of disappearances and deaths of at least 10 high-profile American scientists. Now, many of them tasked with studying UFOs or nuclear research. all of them.
Listen, and notice, and I guys, again, I'm not stating, that you need to listen to me more so than the news, but I need you to understand that the news is not telling you everything. And in most cases, the news is not telling you the truth, no matter. And what I mean by the news is that these news stations, all of these news stations are bought and paid for. It doesn't matter who you pick, Fox 5, CNN, MSNBC, you have to understand that you have to eat the meat and spit out the bones. Again, they're giving you surface level information. The only time you know that or would know that is if you do your own research. A lot of people do not have time to waste, okay, because they got other things going on. And I'm not saying that you're going to be wasting time researching, but researching is time consuming. And you have to understand that when somebody comes out like me and tell you that they are researching, they're doing it for your benefit. When I'm up doing it for your benefit. And I can tell you that is not the only reasons why these people are disappearing or dying.
Have either died or mysteriously vanished, dating back to mid-2023. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily.
Keep in mind of the dates, and they said mid-2023 because they're not trying to count the people in 2022, in 2021, and 2020. In fact, all of this started when COVID-19 started. Everything that I'm getting ready to go into started when COVID-19 started. Watch how deep this is about to get. And again, I'm walking you from the beginning to, basically where I started in my research with, listening to what they got to say so I could do my own research. And I'm going to tell you what I found. Keep that in mind.
Here with my co-hosts, Kaylee McEnany and Harris Faulkner. And also joining us today, Kennedy, host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, and Guy Benson, Fox News political analyst and host of the Guy Benson Show on Fox News Radio. Now, these deaths and disappearances include several high-level astrophysicists, as well as research scientists, college professors, military leaders, and administrative assistants.
Research scientists. Principal research. Administrative assistant at a Los Alamos National Laboratory. Disappeared June 2025. An administrative assistant. So Los Alamos National Laboratory worker, Anthony Chavez, he disappeared May 2025. And again, this is not all of them.
Many on this list having top security clearance and a vast knowledge of America's top.
Okay, here's another one I want you to focus on.
To disappear.
Right here, pharmaceutical researcher, materials processing. Okay. It doesn't matter their nationality. Keep this in mind. This has nothing to do with their nationalities. Right now, don't focus on that. That's not the focus. Okay. Focus on their titles.
Retired Air Force General William McCasland was last seen leaving his New Mexico home in February without his phone or prescription glasses. His disappearance came after aerospace engineer Monica Reza went missing in June while hiking in the Angeles National Forest in California. McCasland and Reza had been working together on a government-funded rocket materials project, which McCasland was overseeing. Our Peter Doocy asked White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt about the suspicious pattern. Watch.
There are now 10 American scientists who have either gone missing
we know that. Hold on.
Since mid-2024.
On shared projects as well.
Yeah, I mean, it is mysterious. It is concerning. You think about like police detective procedurals on TV where the grizzled detective says, I don't believe in coincidences. And this is a lot, right? These are a lot of different names. Who knows if these are connected in any way? Like one of the names up there was an MIT professor who was killed during that Brown University shooting scenario, which was very bizarre, which to my knowledge has no connection to some sort of wider sinister plot. But I think we definitely need answers on this. I would hope that our relevant agencies, intelligence, Homeland Security, FBI, et cetera, are well aware of this, because if there is something sinister going on and this is connected to some sort of potential foreign plot, not to get way out over our skis, our government needs to know about that and protect others who might conceivably be at risk if there's something afoot.
Well, right, because Harris, to that point, you know, in law enforcement investigations, the whole point is to rule out. So you start sort of with everything and rule out. So at this point, any type of foreign espionage or all that kind of stuff, it hasn't been ruled out as they seek a pattern.
So I'm just curious about how hard it is to work a case like this when you have deaths in different states and you've got, you know, mysterious situations, you know, across the country in different areas with people. I'm looking here at MIT, NASA JPL engineer Frank Mawald, I think is how you say his name. That was 2024. These people are all over the place. So how do you do a top-down investigation and take a look at what the nexus of things that they have in common? That's difficult. So I think there are enough people missing or who've been murdered in mysterious ways or died in mysterious ways, or maybe we know how they died, but we don't know why. There are enough of them on the screen right now to begin some sort of a task force to pull this together to figure out what we're really looking at.
Well, the reason why that's not being done is because the government is involved. I'm jumping ahead and telling you that right now. The government is involved, and so is the FDA. I'm going to get into that.
And definitely Americans would be on board with that. That is exactly how our tax dollars should be stewarded.
Yeah.
I note, too, that perhaps in that way of research, you know, I don't know enough about the research to articulate it specifically, but to see perhaps, is it popping up in other countries? Has there been a development amongst our enemies?
Yeah, no, it's not even, it's not, no. Don't try to put that towards Iran. This is actually happening in the UK as well. A lot of the scientists in the UK, I'm going to be sharing that. You guys are going to see this, and I'm going to be telling you why. But yes, some of them in the UK are mysteriously missing or, you know, being discovered dead.
Research that these now deceased or missing scientists were working on.
Yeah, and if they're missing, were they abducted by a nefarious actor who has them and is using them against their will in order to ascertain what level of expertise they might have that might help them? But I think Harris is absolutely right. What this reminds me of is when you have victims in different areas who seem to die in different ways or, you know, mysteriously go missing, and then you realize you have a serial killer. But, you know, it takes a while to connect those dots, and you need a task force. You need a wider and more focused net in order to figure out, you know, and it's harder when it's classified information, because in order to figure out if they
keep this in mind, this particular Fox News is not local, okay? So when they talk about serial killer this and blah, 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 usually that remains local and they end up finding them, and, you know, we could go from there. Like, for example, back in my hometown, the DC sniper, you know, of course, that went national after a while, but of course, at first it was local. Okay, so don't try to make it seem like, you know, there's just one person and stuff. No. This is, it's a group. It's a group that's getting this done, and it's for a reason.
The exact same things. You know, if they were working together, it's much harder to have the experts who also have that sort of clearance to be able to figure out, you know, what the patterns are and what they were working on, if they knew each other, if they were working together, and what was it specifically about their field of study that would make them an attractive target for either, you know, a terrorist organization or a rogue.
Yeah, they're going to try to spin it.
That sort of information, although General McCaslin's wife was very clear to point out on Facebook that he had no information about UFOs and to stop badgering her about that.
Poor thing. 10 is, frankly, an astronomical number.
Yeah, it's a big number.
And Kaylee, I wanted to come to you on sort of the process. As we showed Peter Doocy asking Caroline Levitt questions, as former press secretary, what is the process of sort of digging into something like this when it's brought to the White House's attention and the relationships with the agencies and the DOJ and the like? What might that look like?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, a great point, and that's exactly where my head was at. She probably wasn't expecting that question, but impressive that it was on her radar because it was a headline among many. In fact, our headline on this goes back to April. It's really interesting. There could be any number of reasons that someone would want to take one of these individuals. It could be specialized geopolitical knowledge, something like forced labor. It could be a state secret that someone's trying to get, or it could be nothing at all. It could be total and complete coincidence. But there is, in fact, a history of this kind of criminal activity. And you can go back to World War II and look at some of the stories. They're very interesting. But for Caroline, she did the right thing. She said, I'll go ask agencies. But with something like this, it's so sensitive. I imagine Kash Patel at the FBI is looking at each incident, looking to see if there's any connections between them. But this is something that she is going to have to repeatedly say, I will defer you to the FBI. It's a criminal situation, but it's one that she would dig into. I imagine she'd start at DOJ, she'd go to Kash Patel, and then go from there.
One thing that was a red flag to me, because it was not on my radar, frankly, until I got the info this morning. I saw the question that Peter asked. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I assumed maybe this is going to be older people who did a lot of research for a long time, and maybe they're in their twilight years at the end of their lives. Then I looked at the list of names and the ages, 40s, 50s, 60s. That's also a little weird here, isn't it? A lot of young people.
Yeah. Yes. All right, guys. Well, we will certainly continue to.
All right, let me keep it pushing. Now, this was later on after this.
All right, as we reported last night, 11 U.S. scientists, some tied to highly sensitive government work, are now dead or missing, raising very serious questions about national security. The White House has launched a probe into the mysterious disappearances, with President Trump now vowing to get answers within days, calling the situation pretty serious. White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt wrote on X earlier today, the White House is actively working with all relevant agencies and the FBI to holistically review all of the cases together and identify any potential commonalities that may exist. No stone will be unturned in this effort, and the White House will provide updates when we have them. Anyway, here was more. The only person that can pick this apart, the host of Crime Stories on Fox 1, our friend Nancy Grace.
I don't feel like hearing that, okay? I don't feel like hearing that. I want to get straight into it. Now, because now you're all caught up, they're going to say it's this, it's that, it's nuclear, it's aerospace, it's defense this, but it's, and UFO, UAE. But a lot of them had to deal with the pharmaceutical industry. And that's the part that they're not talking about. That is the part that they're not talking about. In the middle of me researching this, I ran into something that I want to tell everyone about. Let me bring this down. Again, there's going to be some things that I'm not going to show on screen, but I do have. I don't want to show on screen because of YouTube, not because of you. But again, let me mention before I go any further that this is just based off of my research, and this is for educational purposes only. I'm not here to give you medical advice. Okay, go ahead and seek your own clinical judgment with your own healthcare provider. I'm not telling you not to do that. That is not what this is about. I'm just sharing information. Okay? And I know you guys understand that, but let's make sure YouTube does. Let's get straight off the top. The cure for cancer came in 1974. $1974. Cure for cancer. Like 47 backwards, right? 1974. Now, I did say I was going to pull some things up. And I'm going to tell you. Right? And I'm also going to pull some other things up. Now, this information circulated again during the beginning stages of COVID-19. Now, as that was happening, a lot of press conferences were being conducted by way of the CDC and WHO, which was, what's that reptilian's name again? What was his name, y'all? Redfield was in charge of the CDC at that time. And the guy that I'm thinking about was in charge. And I kept making, a lot of videos about him, and I forgot his name. He was the head of who? Fauci, Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci was doing a lot of press conferences with Donald Trump, right? This was at the time, they was trying to give Donald Trump a hard time. And Donald Trump was being overwhelmed. A lot of the press conferences, Donald Trump came out of his own mouth and told you what to use. Y'all remember this? To get rid of COVID. Right? Y'all remember that, right? Now, behind that, it was a lot of physicians and scientists stepping forward, stating that Trump was right. Media, some type of way, spent it and said, no, he doesn't know. And they came out with so many stories. No, he just misspoke, blah, 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 blah. It was a huge campaign to try to stop that from happening. People got familiar at that time with this word right here. People became very familiar with the particular word right here. Okay? Now we're going to take this slow. I see you, chat, and I'm glad that some of y'all do know what's going on. But we're going to take this slow because I need people to understand that they are lying to us. Ivermectin has been FDA approved. Listen to me. Since 1978. Look, what's very important for humans. I'm going to take it slow and try not to get emotional. Let me explain. Ivermectin, listen closely. Ivermectin is an anti-parasite medication that has been used in humans since the 1970s and clinically proven to be safe and effective. It is used to get rid of parasitic infections inside and outside of the body. Now, at the time when they were scaring everybody about getting what they were supposed to be getting, right? And they were trying to hurry up and come up with something. And Trump was even saying, don't worry, We're gonna get it. We're getting it. We got the greatest people with the blah, 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 blah. That's after they made him shut the hell up. About what he took. And I took it and I was great. One day later, remember? Now I'm paraphrasing, but y'all remember when he was bragging about what he took, and I've felt the greatest. Y'all remember, right? The greatest I ever felt in years. I couldn't believe it. They just did a miracle. It was a miracle drug. Right? Okay. All right, that's not it. That's not it. I'm just making sure everybody remember. Y'all can pull it up. Y'all can pull it up. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm close. I'm close. So 2022 rolled around and the FDA got mad. CNN got mad and Fox got mad. All of if the news media got mad along with the FDA, not the CDC, the FDA, the Food Drug Administration. Keep in mind, the Food Drug Administration ain't a group of scientists. It's not a group of physicians. Listen. And they didn't approve foods that ain't good for us. But they got so mad that ivermectin was being looked at. They turned around and said, no. That's just for animals. They literally tweeted on August 21st, 2021, you are not a horse. You are not a cow. Seriously, y'all stop it. That is from the US FDA. Swear to God, bruh. I want to whip them, bruh. I want to rip them up so bad for lying like this, bruh. Hold on, that ain't it. A group of physicians sued them niggas. And they settled it. You think Dane Calloway playing? Now, again, I got the pure, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit and I'm going to tell you right now, I got the peer reviewed studies by private physicians that they got together, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is leading some of that charge. And they know this worked. So, and I'm gonna play a video of that. Give me a second. So the FDA settles the lawsuit over, look, ivermectin, social media posts. They did a campaign, not just social media posts. They did a campaign, but let me scroll down real quick because I want to show you what I'm talking about. As far as their, oh, wait, where is it at? There you go. That's what they tweeted. You are not a horse. You are not a cow. Seriously, y'all, stop it. They got sued for this and they had to retract it. Ivermectin has long been approved for uses in both animals and humans. Hold up. I want to show you something really quick. Where is it at? See how I was talking about COVID? Hold up. Okay. So the FDA also will delete and not republish posts to Twitter, now X, LinkedIn, and Facebook that read, "You are not a horse. You are not a cow. Seriously, y'all stop it." Also, it will delete and not republish an Instagram post reading, "You are not a horse. Stop it," with the ivermectin. It is not authorized for treating COVID. As well as a Twitter post that reads, "Hold your horses, y'all. Ivermectin may be trending, but it isn't authorized or approved to treat COVID-19. They agreed to take this down. Because they approved it in 1978. For humans first. And they tried to make it seem like it wasn't for him. They knew what they were doing. CNN got involved in everything. Fox got involved. All of them got involved and was like, let's campaign to get people's minds off of that. Come to find out, it does more than just get rid of that. Yeah, CNN, MSNBC, all of them. Joe Rogan came out with an interview, and so because I see a lot of people were talking about that. Joe Rogan did an interview with Mel Gibson in 2025, and it was brought back up recently. And Mel Gibson came out and said the ivermectin cured stage 4 cancer. And guess what? Before I saw any of this, I saw the peer review evidence. Before I even knew about Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson's conversation. Before I even knew that he mentioned that it cured cancer. This is already out. And this is the podcast, just in case people want to go listen to it. And that's the podcast number, and it's on YouTube. And that was last year. Yes, y'all, for humans. Since 1978. And that's not all. Oh, I'm in. Oh. Mebendazole and, wait a minute. And febendazole. Both of them. Both of them in combination with this. Takes out the parasite known as cancer. each and every cancer. I'm gonna show you the studies that just recently came out. And I'm gonna show you that I'm not the only one looking at this. Basically, it's just not well known on YouTube. But they're all over Rumble, they're all over Kick, they're all over TikTok, trying to get the message out. And again, I just so happened to run across this. I'm about to show you something. And he goes over it himself. Matter of fact, let me play it. His name is Dr. Campbell, and he's out in the UK. And I'm getting ready to play that now. Pay attention and listen closely. And then I'm going to show you every person in his comment section. 4,100 people. Not bots neither. Y'all about to see, watch.
A warm welcome to this talk. Now today we're going to be looking at a new paper which shows very promising results for ivermectin and mebendazole being used together in the treatment of a wide variety of cancers. Now this is the paper here. Real-world clinical outcomes of ivermectin and mebendazole in cancer patients result from a prospective observational cohort. So in other words, this was a group looking forward.
Hold up, just in case. People need to write this down. If you don't believe me, this can be pulled up. It is in PDF format. They do have it on their website. I'm not trying to put out their website right now. A lot of other things that I have that they put out, I'm not going to put on screen right now. I may at least show you this part and at least show you that he's showing you this part. And I do have this one as well. This is the most recent one. Watch closely.
People joining the group and then data being collected prospectively.
And I'm going to tell you where to get everything. Meaning,
and it's written as
if you got people in your family that need this now. Again, I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm just here to provide information for educational purposes only. So me showing you where you can get it from is for educational purposes only.
Abstract, it's not yet been subject to full peer review, but I'm bringing it to you because it's really very interesting. And the lead author is Nick Hushler, who is actually a friend of the channel. So the full paper is there. Now, let me just give you the main points of this, and you can decide if you want to watch. So that's the reference for the paper, the clinical benefit ratio. Now, the clinical benefit ratio is something used particularly in evaluating cancer treatments. And it means that there's a complete response or there's partial response or stability of the disease. It means it's a good outcome. Anyway, the good outcomes were 84% with a combination of ivermectin and mebendazole. Mebendazole, of course, is a very similar drug to fenbendazole. It's the human form, really, mebendazole. Mebendazole and ivermectin together giving this good result of 84% in terms of clinical benefit.
Based on what I found, it has to be ivermectin, 25 grams of that, and mebendazole, 250 milligrams of that for at least 90 days.
Ratio. So that's what this video is about. 84.4% of patients did well, which is incredible. So why isn't this being widely taken up? Well, we don't have the large-scale randomized controlled trials because they're largely done by pharmaceutical companies. Now, the paper does mention... You heard
what he said? The reason why this is... He just told you why. And look, he about to tell you how much they making. Look, he just told you why this is not being... This is live right now. Is he alive right now? Yes. Yes. Dr. Campbell is still alive. He's in the UK. Dr. Campbell is still alive. But I just need you guys to understand what he just said was very important.
About 84.4%.
As to the reason why this is basically not,
which is incredible,
on blast.
So why isn't this being widely taken up? Well, we don't have the large-scale randomized controlled trials because they're largely done by pharmaceutical companies. Now, the paper does mention the fact that overall, it is estimated that annual costs of standard chemotherapies average $111,000 per year.
A money thing.
I guess that's about, what, £90,000. $111,000 per year. Now, the fact that the pharmaceutical companies are making so much money out of this may have nothing to do with the fact that they don't conduct the clinical trials into ivermectin and mebendazole. Who knows? But they're facts given in the paper anyway. Now let's look at some of the details now, because it really is quite an interesting study. So drug repurposing offers a pathway to identify accessible, this is available to anyone, this is egalitarian, low toxicity, low cost cancer therapies. Now the paper says that this therapy should cost $1,000 or $2 a year, as opposed to $111,000 per year for traditional chemotherapy. I'm sure I could do it for a lot less than that, one heck of a lot less than that. These drugs are generic, they're remarkably cheap. Before Romania joined the European Union, I used to buy a lot of mebendazole and send it to friends and colleagues in Romania for treating worm infections.
That's technically what it is. It's an anti-parasite. So, matter of fact, CNN said they considered it a horse dewormer. That was the term that they used when they were talking about this in CNN segment. They called it a horse dewormer. They were trying to throw everybody's attention away. Yes, it does get rid of parasites, but not only in animals, in humans as well. Now, they're not considering cancer a parasite, but it is. Because you got to think about it. How else is it being fed? It's being fed through that glucose with sugar, right? I mean, and it gets its energy that way. Damn, that sound familiar, don't it? That sound familiar, don't it? Look at how they've been doing this shit.
And at that time, okay, it's a while back, but I was paying £2.30 per 1,000 doses. That's probably the equivalent of £6 or £7, $10 per 1,000 doses. So these drugs are remarkably inexpensive, remarkably cheap, and have got the potential to, as we'll see, treat these wide variety of cancers. Now, ivermectin and mebendazole have demonstrated multiple target anti-cancer activities. They work in many different ways. I do see quite a few papers by, what do you call them, fact checkers, who say cancer is not a parasitic disease. Ivermectin, mebendazole, fenbendazole can't work. Well, this paper is aware of that. We're aware of that. They are not working by killing parasites. They have multiple other biochemical modes of action, and the details of those are coming. So we know that they work in a wide variety of ways in the cells and tissues of the body. This paper evaluates real-world patient-reported outcomes, safety and adherence to a cohort of cancer patients utilising the combination protocol. And the combination was ivermectin 25 milligrams, mebendazole
250.
Ivermectin 25 milligrams, mebendazole 250 milligrams a day for 90 days. That was this 90 days. Protocol. We're not giving medical advice, just reporting what this.
And now, keep in mind, people have seen results quicker than that, but I'm just saying you have to take it consistently for 90 days to completely, have the full cure. Okay, and it could work in conjunction with whatever the clinic or the doctor is giving you, like if you're going through some form of chemo, and the paper gets into that, and because that's who they were running the test on, these type of patients. You about to see.
The methods, so it's prospective observational cohort study, 197 cancer patients, so it's a reasonable number.
So 197 patients Keep that in mind. 100. Y'all was on commercial. Y'all back? Hold on. Y'all want me to go back? Yeah, we good? You didn't really miss anything, I'm telling you, just in case you missed it. So 197 patients this was tested on. Y'all ready? We good?
Ivermectin and mebendazole off-label, so this is not official sort of nice guideline stuff. It's off-label, what you might call compassionate prescribing through telemedicine by registered US providers. Participants received compounded oral capsules, so it was all together in one, 25 milligrams of ivermectin, 250 milligrams of mebendazole. I think that's what I said before, 250 milligrams of mebendazole. Mebendazole, as we've said, being a very similar preparation to fenbendazole.
Right.
Data were collected voluntary, standardized digital surveys at baseline and approximately 6 months follow-up. So these patients mostly followed up at the 6-month period. The initial cohort, 197 baseline characteristics, including cancer type and disease status, were assessed. And there's actually some really quite nice graphics in the paper here, where they show like prostate cancer was the most common, then breast cancer, then lung cancer, then colon cancer, liver cancer, and then all these other cancers as well, which in itself is really quite impressive.
This is where all of those patients have. This combination
of mebendazole and ivermectin appears to be effective against a very wide range of cancers. Mm-hmm. And this means if you think about a third world situation, for example, where you don't have perhaps availability of specialist oncologists, junior doctors and medical assistants and senior nurses could potentially prescribe this for a wide range of cancers, because the treatment would be probably, as far as we know, very similar for a wide range of cancers, which is again very egalitarian and the sort of thing we want to promote. So various cancer types, a total of 122 patients completed, 61.9% response rate. So that's actually not too bad. Mean age 67, about half were male and half were female, so pretty well half and half. Cancer types included, I've listed them there just for convenience so you can see them in the notes. So as we've just noticed, a wide range of different cancers. Normally, of course, all these cancers would have, as I said, dramatically different treatments, whereas here it was all the same basic adjunct treatment that could potentially be given. Median duration since initial diagnosis of these patients was 1.2 years. 37.1% at the time were experienced active disease progression. So that was shown on this graphic here. So we see that at baseline we have 37.1% who actively.
So the metastasis, in other words, the metastasis, and he's probably about to say it, but that just means that it has spread, throughout the body. So the 37.1% was in the middle of. Oh, it says spreading, actively spreading or progressing. Okay, I apologize. I just saw that.
It was metastasizing. Metastasis going to different parts of the body, spreading all over the place to the bones, the lungs, the brain, wherever it the liver, wherever it was metastasizing to. Others were in a more stable situation at the time. This is when the treatment was, when the patients first enrolled on the trial. 6-month follow-up, pretty good, nearly 87% adhered to the treatment. Took the full 90 capsules of ivermectin and mebendazole prescription.
Huge number.
Not an intensive, difficult treatment to follow at all by any means. Clinical benefit ratio, as we've said, so some had complete response, some had a partial response, and some had the disease was stabilised. And again, the paper's very good. It shows this graphic of that. So we see that some patients here, the 32.8%, had no evidence of disease at the time. 15.6 had known regression and 36.1 were stable. Only 15.6% had progressed. And given that cancer is a progressive disease, I consider that result to be quite remarkable, really. Normally, of course, you would expect 100% to progress because cancer is by definition a progressive disease. Clinical benefit ratio, as we said, 84.4%. Right, so 48.4 of the cohort, strongest possible outcomes. Regression, 15.6%. No current evidence of disease, as I said, 32.8. Disease stability, 36.1. Only 15.6% of the whole cohort were progressing.
And again, it was 197.
Remarkably good. 87% nearly stable or improving. Now, this is very interesting indeed. I have talked to different people on this channel. Dr. Macus in Canada, for example, Gus Dalgleish in the UK. And we've talked about the dose which would be ideal for this. And basically, of course, because the trials haven't been done, we don't know. But this study, at least relatively small, but what this study showed is no significant dose-response association was observed for cancer outcomes. And the chances of that being wrong were only 9%. So it's 91% likely that that is a correct statement. In other words, the lower doses, people on the lower doses were doing as well as people on the higher doses. Now, the very best response was from people with 2 capsules a day, but it wasn't much different. So it looks like the relatively low dose of 25 milligrams of ivermectin and 250 milligrams of mebendazole is as effective as the higher dose, at least from this study. Now, of course, people will argue with that. All I'm saying is I don't actually know the complete answer to that, of course. No one does, because the full trials haven't been done. But that's what this study showed. It's a direct quote from the study, very interesting. No significant dose response. So I mean, not normally with a dose response, you know, it's like if you give a higher dose, you get more response. So the higher the dose, the greater the response. So, for example, if someone's drinking alcohol, the higher the dose of alcohol, the more they get drunk. That would be normal, but this isn't showing that. So the response was pretty well the same in this study, regardless of the dose, which is very interesting indeed, and should help to guide future studies. Without any clear dose response gradation for efficiency, encouraging that the lower doses may be effective. How low can we go? We don't know. But it would be interesting to find out, wouldn't it? Side effects, pretty mild. There were a few mild side effects reported, mostly gastrointestinal, but nearly 94% of those affected were able to carry on with their treatment. So very well tolerated. Some adjusted the doses a bit, but basically very well tolerated. Concurrent conventional therapies. Now, what other therapies were these getting? Well, of the people taking the ivermectin and mebendazole, 27.9% were on chemotherapy as well. Radiotherapy, 21.3% were on radiotherapy as well. And 19.7% had surgery during the course of the 6 months as well. And as well as that, quite a lot were on dietary supplements, nearly half, and dietary modification, just over a third. Right, conclusion. The initial conclusion from this study. In this prospective real-world cohort, the combination of ivermectin and mebendazole was associated with high rates of self-reported clinical benefit, with nearly half of participants reporting tumour regression or no current evidence of disease across heterogeneous populations of cancer patients. In other words, different people, different sexes, different types of cancer, all got a benefit, which is really quite remarkable, These findings provide a compelling clinical signal that there is well-tolerated, repurposed agents may offer therapeutic benefit. That's the ivermectin and mebendazole may well offer therapeutic benefit. However, as the study honestly says, observational design, reliance on self-reported outcomes and potential for selection bias, that's the people that go into the study in the first place, and uncontrolled confounding variables, these findings should be interpreted as hypothesis generating. So there is most definitely a hypothesis here. The hypothesis is that giving 25 milligrams of ivermectin and 250 milligrams of mebendazole every day for 90 days has a significant benefit to a whole range of cancers. That is
all right. Now, I'm glad you caught that I was muted because I was talking and I was just throwing it up on screen and I was letting you know that I was dropping the link inside of the chat. I was throwing it up on screen, showing you where you could get it from and dropping the link inside of the chat. It says some of y'all are trying to do it and trying to, okay, look. Yeah, I did it again. I just did it again. Push come to shove, y'all could join the 13% community server, and I'll share it again. You know, and I'll do it again. The 13%, the link is in the chat. That's it. Discord.gg 13%. Okay. So, you know, but then again, you have to do your own research. You also are going to know that I'm not trying to give you medical advice. This is all for information purposes. I just want you to check things out. You understand what I'm saying? Same thing with him. Keep this in mind. This is, not medical advice. This is not medical advice. We're just providing information. This is all research-based, educational purposes only. All right? You could definitely seek your physician or your doctor, healthcare provider for that type of thing. All right?
It's easy to test. Now, of course, we're not expecting this to be done because mebendazole and ivermectin are cheap. They're inexpensive. And pharmaceutical companies are currently making an average of $111,000 per year per patient. Not that we're saying that's why they don't want to do it. They could be completely unrelated facts, of course.
Yeah, the price is going up, y'all.
Isn't it? These studies are crying out to be done. The hypothesis is clear from this and multiple studies. We could be curing, potentially, we don't know.
Keep in mind, you could...
Your wife's cancer, your husband's cancer, your mother's cancer, your father's cancer, your son's cancer, your daughter's cancer, with ivermectin and mebendazole. But the trials, the randomized large-scale double-blind controlled trials are simply not being done. In my view, this is an outrage and an insult to research. But it's currently our situation, unfortunately. Validation of
again, this is Dr. Campbell.
Observations further define optimal dosing strategies. So
he's based out of the UK.
Really not sure.
Yeah, he's in the UK.
What the best doses are at the moment, although we have seen, promisingly, as we've said, that the lower dose patients in this study with the lower
this was 2 days ago, by the way,
mebendazole were doing as well as the patients on higher doses. Now, does this make any sense? Is there a pharmacodynamic rationale? Is there a mechanism by which these drugs work? Yes, absolutely, there is. Very much so, there is. Ivermectin and mebendazole are antiparasitic agents, but that's probably not how they're working in this case. As well as, so this is a plus, demonstrating highly promising anti-cancer activity.
Absolutely, Ken, I appreciate that.
Shown to exert over 14 distinct anti-cancer mechanisms across 12 cancer types. So 14 clear biochemical mechanisms have been identified via which ivermectin could be preventing cancers in 12 different cancer types. This is incredible. Working in 12 different cancer types. How is it doing it? Inhibiting cancer cell proliferation, so stopping cancer cells multiplying, reducing the likelihood of metastasis, angiogenesis, so angio is blood vessel, genesis is beginning. So for a cancer tumour to grow into a large bulky tumour, there needs to be angiogenesis. There needs to be production of new blood vessels. If there wasn't a blood supply to the cancer, it would go black and die, like tying an elastic band around your finger. It would go black and die and necrose. So it looks like ivermectin is inhibiting the growth of new blood vessels to new tumours. If there's no blood supply to the new tumour can't grow. It's very, very simple, very, very obvious. And also reducing mitochondrial function in cancer cells, the ability of the cancer cells to welcome to produce this talk. Energy.
Sorry, I'm pulling up the channel. I want y'all to see these comments.
So, in other words, this drug has demonstrated very high levels of ivermectin has developed high levels of safety, demonstrate high levels of safety, used on its own and used with other chemotherapeutic agents. And I myself took 12 milligrams of ivermectin a day for 7 weeks with no side effects whatsoever. Just to try it on myself, really. But even with people taking chemotherapeutic agents as well, it's not a contraindication. So if it's potentially beneficial when people are taking chemotherapy, why not give it as well?
Okay, again, I agree with him. Based off of the studies that are being conducted. And here are the comments. You guys need to see this. It's 4,400 comments right now on this video, okay? Read the comments. That person said he had stage 4 rectal cancer following surgery and taking ivermectin for around 12 months. Last scan showed no cancer. Back to work, feeling great. Oh, it's 3 days now. Yeah, because we the next day. So it's 3 days now. This video is 3 days old. Guys, this is not a game. Took ivermectin and fenbendazole for 4 months now. They had stage 4 spreading cancer. The joint that spread. All my cancer markers are in green. This stuff really works. People saying they about to do it now because it's coming back. As far as, you know, when they just tried the chemo and never tried this. Good point. If cancer research found the cure, they'd put themselves out of business. Good point. If the sun cured cancer, they would find a way to justify blocking it. Oh, wait. Oh, man. May 28th. That person, which did nothing. Okay, so previously they had 10 months chemotherapy, which did nothing. 28 rounds of But the shrinking would continue. So after they did that, they just started taking it. I wonder if they meant to say 2020. No. If they just started doing that, was it every day and have continued today? Laughed at me for trying this, saying, okay, oncologists laughed at that person for trying to say it would never work. Remember, doctors don't make money if they don't prescribe something that comes in a pill bottle. Yeah, because when that person said 250, that's why I was like, yeah, I don't know. I think that person said it wrong because it's not supposed to be 250 of ivermectin. It's supposed to be 25 of ivermectin. To 80 milligrams a day and taking it twice, 22 milligrams daily. 200 and 22 milligrams daily. Okay, so that means somebody wasn't trying to listen to that person. I'm pretty sure that's happening. Some people just don't know it yet and they're unclear. Some people are trying to do the cream. And I saw people were talking about that as far as they put a little bit of the cream on their tongue and they, drinking it with water. I did see that stuff on TikTok. And again, I'm just letting you know that I've seen it. I don't know about that one. I don't know, but I've seen like they're on camera doing that. So you guys can see that on TikTok and they can tell you more about that one. Muscle invasive bladder cancer. They took both high dosage after 2 PET scans and full blood tests, no evidence of the disease. I mean, again, this is it's not to the point where it's like well known. Okay, some people have heard about it. Some people have not. I feel as though since I'm in the process of my research on this itself, I feel as though I wanted to get this message out as soon as possible for anyone, that is in need of that. And again, I am going to be following up on this because I just so happened to run across this by just trying to find out what was going on with the scientists. And once I started, connecting the dots, I noticed all of them were pharmaceutical. And I said to myself, okay, that is I'll give you the link for that. I see you, Joker. I'll give you the link for that in the 13% community server. I'm gonna give you the link for that in the community server. You talking about that one itself. I'll give you the link for that in the community server. So I'll post all links again inside of the community server. That one and the other one. Okay, so you guys can have, it will always be there. And keep in mind, I'm not asking for no money for you to join the community server. It is free. The 13%, it is free. I'm not asking for no money. This is not behind no goddamn paywall. I won't ever tell y'all no shit like that, bruh. There's no way. There's no fucking way. Excuse me for getting upset. But no, that's not it. The 13% is free. You can come up in there and I'm gonna show you everything that I found free. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? It's no, I've been doing this for a while anyway. Like the majority of the information I put out is free. You know what I'm saying? I know, right? Yeah, I'm not saying donations. You don't hear me saying that. I'm not, it's just the way it is, man. It's just the way it is, You know, I remember when it was the time where people was asking me to ask for donations. And I only did it for a little bit. And then I said, nah, okay, like, if they're going to donate, they're going to donate. That's on them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, like, I need your donate. Come on, pass around the offering plate. And you got to do this because God said. I'm not doing all that, bruh. I'm authentically researching. I can tell you that. And I have the evidence that I have that one. And I have a few other ones that was conducted here in the US. And they're working in conjunction with the UK. Again, a lot of those people are being removed in the US and the UK, okay? And this is probably the main reason why, because they don't want the peer review to, keep in mind, just that alone with them testing like the 197 with that one just here recently, that alone could open up a case study. And I need you guys to understand how they are doing this. They are purposely not trying to pay attention to what the physicians and the doctors are doing, coming together and trying to put this information out, because you got to, it's almost like you got to get approved from the government for this. And this ain't that. These people are in this field of study to try to get, things done to help the people. And meanwhile, you trying to put it behind the paywall, and you want to have control, and, they want to water it down, blah, 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 add some shit in. It's a whole bunch of stuff, but I just wanted to put that information out there. And I said this live stream is not going to be long. I see it's been an hour and 15 minutes. This is good time. I'm going to just treat this like a warm up to, more things to come on this, because I'm going to be utilizing this. Because exactly. And rest well to those that we lost, okay, and that we shouldn't have, but, it's just a lot of people that went through that, and I know they did. This is a very sensitive topic, and I apologize for bringing that trauma back up to y'all, okay? That's why I was not trying to be all hyped and, while touching that sensitive topic, because I know how sensitive that can be for people, it's, but it's just time that people need to, let them know. They just need to know that there's other options other than what they're trying to force our people into or scare our people into. And it's been proven to work. And again, I'm not a doctor or any of that. I'm not trying to give medical advice. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just providing information by way of my research for educational purposes only. You take this and do whatever you want to do with it. But I love you. And I mean that. So, and I know you love your family members and your friends and stuff like that. And this need to be done for everybody, because they've been putting this stuff in the water. They've been putting this stuff in our foods. We know this bullshit. And a lot of that shit is approved by the FDA as well. But all of a sudden, they approved this thing in 1978. But no, but don't take it. They was trying to, come on now. They didn't want, whatever. Cancer is a parasite that can be killed and cured. It is what it is. It's up to you. And he also said, you heard it too, but according to their case study, this is not harmful for people that are already actively getting things done. Like if they're going through whatever they're going through, the radiation, the chemo, this works in conjunction. But then they can stop all that chemo stuff as soon as they get on this. Because all that chemo, radiation, all that stuff is just hurting them. Just let that be known. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just trying to make you think. I'm just trying to make you think. I'm going to talk about the med beds too. I'm going to talk about some other things I discovered just by being nosy about something else. And I mean, all these doctors, and I'm left and freaking right, and they act like they ain't got the answers. Nah, they know what's going on. And hopefully they don't, get rid of Dr. Campbell, you know what I'm saying? But, and hope, it's a couple other doctors, and I'm not really, I'm not really in the mood to get upset right now. I'm trying not to get upset. But, yeah, let me leave it like that. Share this with everybody you freaking know. Now, this one of them ones where I'm telling you, I don't be saying share it. If I'm telling you to share it, share it. Yeah, rest in peace, Dr. CB. Yep, as he was on top of this as well. That all of that stuff came up. And again, I had no clue until I got nosy with something else. And this popped up. Man, you know I'm on it. Once my nosy ass is on it, I'm not coming off of it until I'm well versed. So I'm probably gonna see some clip the other live streams. I gotta clip that up and post that tomorrow, but that's if I don't, plan on. I probably will just clip those up and still go live tomorrow, so we can have a longer live stream. But today it's gonna be today. So I'm gonna see you guys later on. I probably would do that. Fix myself a cup. Let me chop some videos up and I'll get those posted for later on today because they missed that last live stream as well. And I'll do that. Then I'll come back, and do the evening live stream. So I love y'all, man. Okay? Y'all my brothers and sisters out there, man. Health is wealth. Health is wealth. My book is number 2 in health wealth on Amazon. That's what it's about. All right, y'all. Let me go. Let me get out of here. Y'all take care. Wado.
OCO free thinkers.
I make you think, yeah. I make you think, I make you think, yeah. I make you think, yeah. I made you think, yeah. I made you think, I make you think, yeah. I make you
He's
think.
here to make you think.
I make you think, yeah. I make you think, I make you think.